There's been a lot of things said about Zach Wilson over the course of the last few weeks, but none more concerning than this. Is Zach Wilson a fit for the Jets offense?
Jets, Jets!
Looks like he's going to get one more shot here. National television, Thursday Night Football against Jacksonville. Mm-hmm. Is he the guy? Is Zach Wilson the guy?
I don't know that it's a great fit right now with what they're trying to do. I think he is if you're going to use a baseball reference, I think he's a home run hitter who's going to have a low batting average. And there's certain baseball teams that play with those types of players and have success, and there's other teams that want you to put the ball in play. This is an offense that's a rhythm, timing-based offense.
Well, then why draft him? Honestly,
that's an interesting question of just in terms of are you going to. And sometimes you might think you have one thing, and then when you get him in your building, Rich, and you realize, okay, maybe his strength isn't in this area, it's in that area. Well, then you've got to shift and change and mold around him, as opposed to asking him to shift and change and mold around you.
Welcome to Jets Talk. My name's Ryan. I'll be your pilot. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button. If you've been here before, welcome back. I love having you here. Boys and girls, that was NFL insider Daniel Jeremiah. Why are we taking Daniel Jeremiah's thoughts so critically? Well, he was a scout with Joe Douglas in Baltimore. These guys are close friends, former roommates. This is something that I always try to keep an eye on between him and McShay because of their close ties to Joe Douglas. And could Daniel Jeremiah be saying something that our GM may not be able to say aloud, or maybe possibly thinking that he won't say to anyone else, or maybe some concerns that could be shared within the building at One Jets Drive. So you heard it here. You heard the clip from the Rich Eisen show. And I think when you hear Wilson is not a good fit for the offense, well, Daniel Jeremiah, I'm a little frustrated because here's your article saying Jets fans should be fired up about Zach Wilson the minute after we drafted him. So I don't know what to make of this. Like, as far as, should we believe it? Should we not believe it? I mean, clearly when we're looking at Zach Wilson and we're watching the offense operate, there is some kind of disconnection. We've talked about the reset that Zach Wilson needs, trying to get his feet right, trying to get his head right, trying to get him in the best situation where he can work on his mechanics while not regressing in any sort of capacity. So not a good fit for the offense. I think we can all kind of see that, at least for right now. And he used the example of, a baseball player that doesn't have a great on-base percentage but can hit bombs out of the park. That definitely describes Zach Wilson and, how teams could operate with getting guys on base and moving them around the bases with, smaller hits as opposed to the big home run shot to get everyone in. And there's pros and cons for both of that. But to that comment, I would say you have 8 other hitters that are going to be hitting either home runs or on base type of plays in baseball. With quarterback, you're the guy. If you're only taking the big shots, I don't know if that if you can't do the little things, if it's necessarily an apples to apples comparison. I see what he's trying to go with there. I don't love this. You obviously take a guy at number 2 overall. Is there some sort of disconnect with how the Jets are using Zach and what Zach is capable of doing? Why did the Jets draft him at number 2 overall when he doesn't quite fit the system? I mean, originally it seemed like he was going to fit the system. Daniel Jeremiah says something along the lines of, well, you bring a guy in and he's not exactly what you thought he was. That's an alarming, I think, little sentence that he had there. Because I think you can see all the talent in the world from Zach Wilson. You see the arm strength. You see the mobility. You saw the pro day throw that everyone was talking about, which he did duplicate this past weekend against the Lions here with a nice pass to Uzomah. But if he's not the guy you thought he was coming into the building, like he can't complete these easy throws. He's not able to handle certain adversities. He's not, maybe not diagnosing defenses pre-snap, things of that nature. And I don't know all this to be true or not, but there's clearly issues there, and it seems like Joe Douglas's close friend and former colleague seems to have these types of thoughts and maybe beliefs, which does give me a little bit of hope in the event the Jets wanted to make a change, right? And there's 2 ways you can go about this. You can either, I shouldn't say that. I should say the Jets are going to have 3 options. If this is not a good fit for Zach Wilson right now, you have to either A, bring in a new quarterback that is a fit. You have to B, bring in a new offensive coordinator, because clearly you got to find someone that can fit the current play style of quarterback. Or 3, you just throw your hands up in the air and just yell. because that's where I'm at right now. I have no idea where this goes because I'm looking at Mike LaFleur and I'm seeing, okay, clearly this doesn't feel like an offense similar to what the Ravens or the Bears did, where they built it around their mobile quarterbacks, guys that were struggling a little bit with the passing game in Lamar Jackson and Justin Fields. They built an offense where these guys can thrive. And when I'm looking at Mike LaFleur, I'm seeing an offense that's getting receivers wide open consistently and appears to be working, for the most part, around the league in some kind of capacity. But it's a very timing-based offense that Zach Wilson just doesn't quite have down yet. It feels like there's a large learning curve. And once you have the playbook front and back, maybe you can start reacting with your instincts instead of having to process everything in your head. And I think that's kind of where Zach is sort of maybe a little bit further behind the 8 ball here. So when I'm looking at this, I'm seeing Mike LaFleur having probably our most successful offense. Some of that has to do with actually having weapons and things of that nature that we haven't had in the last few years. But would you rather get rid of the quarterback or get rid of the offensive coordinator? Obviously, Mike LaFleur, close friends with Robert Saleh. I think that would probably be a tough decision for the head coach to make, although possibly a necessary one if you want to maintain your job. It is a business after all. So does it make sense to move on from the quarterback or move on from the coordinator? For me, it's a tough question, right? Like, there's some things that you can see from Zach Wilson that you can say, wow, that looks really good. But if you change the offense, is he going to be able to succeed in different style offenses? And if not, what do you have to do to have him succeed? Because it's right now the things that you're kind of seeing from Zach Wilson are the short throws, the timing, not necessarily going through your progressions and finding the open guy or knowing when the guy is going to be open, as opposed to being like college open where they're just wide open. So I don't know if necessarily changing the offensive coordinator is going to fix that. I think just more time and more learning and just sitting and trying to figure out is really the best shot for Zach. Because I'll be honest, looking at the quarterbacks that have had some kind of success in this offense, I mean, you're talking Flacco, Johnson, White, Pickett, Ritter right off the top in the last year have all had some type of success in limited starts. And you haven't quite seen the success you want to see from Zach Wilson. And then you look around the league and you see guys like Brock Purdy operating in the San Francisco's offense, Mr. Irrelevant, having some really nice play over there. And it feels like this is a very quarterback-friendly system. For me, I just don't know what the right answer is because it's been so hard to try and find a quarterback over the last 20 plus years for the New York Jets. Like, do you try and pull the plug, or do you think there's enough physical gifts and talent that Zach Wilson provides that it's worth it to just throw the offensive coordinator out? Because let's be honest, Zach Wilson has far more equity in this team than Mike LaFleur does. Mike LaFleur, I don't know what he's getting paid, but Zach Wilson is on like a $36 million fully guaranteed contract. So let's call a spade here and pretend Zach is the guy that you'd rather hold on to as opposed to Mike LaFleur. So I'm curious to hear what everyone has to say. Would you prefer the offensive coordinator or would you prefer the quarterback in this type of situation? Let me know in the comment section down below. And as always, go Jets.